Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show on this Wednesday morning. Now today, we're going to be tackling the very urgent issue of bullying in South Africa. Questions like how can parents recognize the warning signs and also take action to support their children is something that we have to get into. And joining us today, we've got to get the best of the best in the building. And Sadia Southgate is right here on our couch, registered counsellor, to share her expert advice on what parents should know and also what they can do. We're going to provide a bit of a guidebook for parents this morning. Sadia, welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. It really is a pandemic, something that, I mean, we faced when I was at school.
Yes.
I know generations before me, generations to come.
Yes.
But let's get into this conversation.
Yeah.
Sometimes it does go unreported as well, which I think is almost the scariest part when it comes to this. So maybe parents can pick up on those subtle warning signs when it comes to it if their children are not focal. What are some of those?
Yes, some of those are, sleepless nights. It's also nightmares, it's a loss of appetite or even a decrease in appetite. It could also be, friends. You notice that there's a difference within the friends circle, or there's a withdrawal with the friendship circles. It's also kids specifically either all of a sudden just saying now that they are feeling unwell, they're having stomach aches.
To avoid going to school?
Yes.
Okay.
And sometimes also what parents could also look out for is the child either coming home either with their food or they're coming home extra hungry. So that could also mean that the child's food was removed or taken from them at school. But we're speaking about the subtle warning signs, but I want parents this morning to be aware that sometimes there aren't any warning signs.
Sure.
As you were speaking about, that bullying often gets unreported, and that is something that we've been facing as a pandemic as well for so many years. And of recent months, I would say, with how bullying has just skyrocketed, has been quite scary, but not just skyrocketed, but just the impact that it had on our primary school and high school learners. And I believe that when it comes to bullying in itself, that it's very much on the larger scale when it comes to primary school learners.
Yeah, and it is quite severe. I mean, the consequences of this sometimes actually results in death, which is a scary reality. And when you think about the fact that it's not just in person, it's also online, which I know we'll touch on a little bit later. And we've also asked our Expresso family just to weigh in on that conversation too. But maybe let's talk to the parents now. What are the first steps that they should take? Should they pick up some red flags, some signs that are happening?
Yes. The first step, I think when we think back to, when we experience bullying or were exposed to it, is first and foremost, believe your child. Believe your child when they say that they are being bullied. Because oftentimes I would believe in communities what parents say is, what did you do wrong? You the problem. You're always getting into trouble. So what is going to happen with the child? The child is not going to say the next time they are being bullied, because it's not just once that the child is being bullied. It's been a repetitive thing, So we are looking at parents that needs to first and foremost believe your child when they say that. Also create a safe environment for them, which is important, because now if there is, let's say, strife or animosity within the home, the child is not going to want to speak about what it is that they're going through, because as a child, you think, my parents have their own issues, their own problems.
Right.
I wouldn't want to speak about it. So create that safe, nurturing environment for the child to be able to open up and also have honest conversations to the child or to your child or even children about bullying, what it is, what signs to look out for when they are being bullied, or even if somebody else is being bullied, because oftentimes it's not just the child being bullied, it's a friend as well.
And they can maybe stick up for them as well and show support in that way. I like that. Also preventative. It's not just when it is happening. But say it is happening and you've tried to do all you can within your house. When do you know it's time to approach the leadership of the school or even the principal about the issue?
Yes, I would say, it comes down to at any time. If a child is being bullied, because there's different types of bullying that we're speaking about. You get verbal, you get psychological, you get physical as well, amongst many others, where it's purposefully excluding your child from a social setting or even just a friendship circle. So when it comes to that, I would say first and foremost is to address it before it gets worse, before it even gets physical. Oftentimes parents don't know that they can actually ask for the school's bullying policy. So that is something that I've also learned while I was studying my degree and honours in psych, is that every school needs to have a bullying policy. So as parents, steps that they can take is, and when they can, is to first and foremost, even before it happens, let's say at the beginning of the school year, ask for the bullying policy so that they can educate themselves and prepare themselves with regards to that. And then from there, first speak to the principal, speak to the teachers, make everybody in the educational department aware of the situation and what is happening. And if anything doesn't happen or there isn't a resolution, then have, let's say, a mediator come in to try and find a resolution collectively.
Right. So the good news is that there is help on the other side of bullying, which is really exciting for parents who may be experiencing this or know somebody that is going through this. And also we have a part 2 of this conversation that we have to get into after the break. And if you'd like to weigh in, please do so. Send a voice note, contact us on our social media too, and we'll get Sadia to help us unpack this a little bit more in a bit. So stick around.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Oh, and just like that, you're back on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. It is Expresso on S3. Now, I hope you caught part 1 of the conversation, but if not, we are going to continue this chat on bullying with Sibongile Lucretia Samsam, founder of the Edo Lwetu Foundation, as well as Sadia Southgate, who's still on the couch, focusing on practical actions parents can actually take to protect, but also to empower their own children. Ladies, again, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome, Sibongile. We didn't get to touch on this a bit earlier, and I think it's so vital when it comes to the social media or online side of bullying. I mean, when you look at the fact that 1 in 5 South African teenagers is affected by cyberbullying, that is quite common. So let's talk a little bit more about the impact of social media. Should parents be restricting their children's phones and access? What's your take?
Parents should be restricting their children on social media and given on a specific time what they could be looking for and be doing for their well-being of the children. A maximum of an hour, and then they can be focusing on their work.
Right, because priorities-wise, that makes sense to me. Sadia, would you agree with that?
Yes, I do. It's very tricky, you know, to kind of have that, but I believe that what I can add to that is to have, let's say, parental advisory within the cell phones and even with the parents as well, even just apps to kind of help manage what it is, like the screen time, especially at night. I find with adolescents as well, because we're focusing on that target audience this morning, is with them, they tend to be on the cell phones either directly after school and also at night. So let's say after dinner time. So I would say nighttime is definitely something that they should consider, just kind of limiting the screen time on.
I mean, for me too, can I just be honest? I think all of us could do less social media time because it does get really rough out there. And for any human, I mean, the consumption of it should definitely be reduced. But let's talk about bullying. I have to have this question because it's weighing heavy on my heart. So I can just imagine if I was a parent to a child that's being bullied, I would want to take this on head on. I would want to approach the bully and approach the parents and sort it out myself, kind of like mob justice, you know? And I wonder if this is an approach that you would encourage for parents to take on other parents and confront them, or if there are other methods that they should maybe... I see you shaking your head, Sibongile. Are there other methods that are probably a bit better than that?
There are methods. The school counsellor is the first point at all schools and at all angles. And then the counsellor will be directing the parents as to how the counselling session is going to go with protocols.
And would that be with both parties being counselled, right?
Yes, with both parties being counselled.
Just in case you have questions, because I would have a lot of questions.
Absolutely. I would say, if I can just add to that, you know, when it comes to parents, I would also say, and kind of just add to that, is to have an environment, you know, or choosing a time and place. Because what can happen is parents can be waiting after school with the kids, and then the child will say, Mommy, that's the boy, and then their parents are there, and that can kind of just cause, a whole bunch of chaos.
After school.
Which is not advisable. So having a mediator in to kind of assist them, basically having to sit in with them. So, for example, parents can also, let's say, start the conversation in a more positive tone. So that way you're setting the tone for where the conversation is going to go. For example, like just saying, you know, I've been hearing some things, and there's some things that is concerning me. And as a collective and as parents, we can try and find a solution as a team, so it doesn't sound like I'm coming off on the parent, or parents are coming off
They're
on
being
each
attacked,
other.
yeah.
Yes, but also here the perspective, you know, so having that common ground and also open perspective within the conversation, having counselors, even teachers in, even the principal in, to kind of mediate the whole meeting, which is advisable.
Because I can imagine it can get heated, you know? Everyone wants to protect their child.
Absolutely.
And when they hear that's not happening, you know, things could go very wrong.
Yes.
But maybe we should touch base on talking about the child in particular, because there could be things parents can do to empower the kid, to maybe even instill confidence in them so that when they do step outside, they can, I don't know, somehow manage the bullying or fight off the bullying. Are there things that parents could teach their children?
There are. Back a buddy, be your buddy, be your friend. Always be on the lookout for each other on the road, at home, and at school.
I like that. The support definitely matters at the end of the day. Sadia, you too?
Yes. You know, I would say when it comes to just kind of having to support your child or even just build resilience within your child is one thing I believe that my dad instilled in me is he always spoke to my identity, my self-image. So I believe that that is something that really has played such a big role in building your self-confidence and your self-esteem. So we have the backer buddy, we have, you know, the after-school program, for example, where kids can go to. But if it, as a parent at home, you know, that I believe is where it starts, is to build that resilience and empowerment, as you were speaking about earlier on, because bullying is not just about education, but empowering your child and helping them understand what it really is, things to look out for. So it's when the kid comes home, is speaking to their skills, speaking to their strengths, focusing on that rather than focusing on the weaknesses or what they're not good at doing.
I like that. You know, we've discussed that bullying is a pandemic, but at the end of the day, it is about family and community that can make this a bit of a better experience for them. So Sibongile and Sadia, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing this. I know that a lot of parents feel relief now that you've shared everything and the tools that they have. Absolutely love that. And right now we also have the SADAG helpline, which is free, that you can contact if you are facing this and if you are going through this as a parent or a kid watching right now. There is help. I think that's the most important thing at the end of the day, and there is also light at the end of the tunnel. Now, speaking of, Raul standing by with a really insightful conversation about a production that you want to watch.